the APNIC FTP or on the ARIN website. And looking at the number of transfers at the top versus the number of IP addresses at the bottom, we can see that somehow in the ARIN region, the number of transfers have actually started to pick up in 2015. While in 2016 we see 107 transfers of IP addresses only in the first 2 months. So this shows quite an ascending trend of number of transfers in the ARIN region since the moment they've run out. Also, the number of transfers in the APNIC region has increased, but not as dramatically as the RIPE NCC transfers. If you look at the statistics, RIPE NCC has done 920 IPv4 transfers. Well, that's the number of blocks that have been transferred. The number of transfers may be a bit smaller, but in order to find some consistency between all of the registries, we've actually looked at the number of blocks that have been transferred to the receiving party. So between 2014 and 2015, in the RIPE NCC region, we see an increase from 920 to 2,700 transfers a year. Now, looking at the number of the IP addresses, we can see that somehow in the APNIC region, the number of IP addresses has increased, but we're still talking about a number between 2 and, well, now 6 million IP addresses in 2015, but it's not that much. In the RIPE region, the number of IP addresses transferred in 2014 and 15 has been quite consistent, somewhere around the 9 to 10 million IP addresses. But if we look at ARIN, we will see that in 2015, they've jumped from 4.7 million addresses in 2014 to 34 million IP addresses in 2015. So we've looked a bit deeper to see why this jump from 4.7 to 34 million, and we've realized that the reason, the culprits for this jump were Microsoft and the Amazon EC cloud services, which have transferred almost a /8 each. That accounts for the most of the IP addresses transferred in the ARIN region. Now, we're looking at the same numbers, but a bit differently. If you look at the number of IP addresses, you will see that the RIPE NCC has had quite a similar number of IP addresses transferred between 2014 and 2015. However, the number of blocks transferred has increased dramatically. Again, as I said, looking back, it has increased from 920 to 2,700, meaning that the address space in the RIPE region transferred in 2015 has been the same, the number of IP addresses, the same number of IP addresses, but it has been broken down into more and more smaller pieces. Now, in ARIN, as I said, if you look at it, the number of IP addresses is huge just because of 2 very large transfers. Of course, they've had some other very large transfers as well, but those 2 very large transfers have accounted for most of the IP addresses. Now, a few details about each RIR. Basically, APNIC has an inter-RIR transfer policy since intra-RIR transfer policy since 2010, and they've done their first transfer in November 2010, and they're compatible with both ARIN and RIPE. They've run out in 2011, and the number of transfer increases, but it's a steady increase. They've done inter-RIR transfers. Most